Welcome to the EPSO Verbal Reasoning course. Over the next chapters, you'll learn exactly how this test works, the reasoning it demands, and a method you can rely on under exam pressure. Let's start with what you're actually up against. Here is the test in miniature. You get a short passage, then a statement. Your job: decide whether the statement is true, false, or impossible to say, using only the passage. The report appeared in March, so published before April must be true. Simple here. It will not stay simple. By the end of this course, you'll read the way this test rewards: precisely, literally, and fast. No guessing, no outside knowledge, just disciplined reading. That discipline is a skill, and skills are trainable. Let's build it. Verbal reasoning shows up in almost every EPSO competition: AD administrator profiles, AST and AST-SC assistant profiles, and the permanent cast selection. Whatever role you're aiming for, this test stands between you and the next stage. Here's the first thing to understand. This is not a knowledge test. It does not measure your vocabulary, your general knowledge, or what you know about the European Union. It measures one thing: how accurately you can extract meaning from a text and reason strictly within what that text allows. The format is consistent: a passage, a few sentences of neutral prose, a statement, a single claim to judge, and a verdict: true, false, or cannot say. You'll usually take the test in your main language, and you'll see many items in a row, all built on this same shape. So why is it hard? Not the vocabulary. The difficulty is in that third verdict. Most marks are lost when a candidate picks true or false confidently for a statement the passage never settles. Cannot say is where this test is won or lost. And here's the good news. Because the format never changes and the traps repeat, this test rewards method over luck. A trained reader walks in knowing exactly what to look for. That's what this course gives you: the method and the practice to make it automatic. Before we solve anything, let's name the parts. Every item has three: the passage, which is your only source of truth; the statement, the claim you must judge; and the three options you choose between. Know these cold, because every chapter from here refers back to them. Start with the passage. Whatever it says, treat it as a sealed world. It might sound wrong or oddly specific or different from what you know to be true in reality. None of that matters. Inside the test, the passage is simply given, and every verdict is measured against it. Now the statement. It's almost never a sentence copied from the passage. It's a rewording, a paraphrase, a combination, sometimes a subtle shift. Your job is to test whether that rewording still holds true against the passage. One more term: the distractor. A wrong option is not random. It's engineered to look right. It borrows real words from the passage, it feels plausible at a glance, and it survives a quick read. Only careful, deliberate comparison exposes it. True and false feel like the easy verdicts. They are not. Each has a precise definition, and if you drift even slightly from that definition, you'll hand back marks. Let's pin both down exactly. True has a strict meaning. A statement is true only when the passage makes it unavoidable, when a careful reader simply cannot deny it. Notice what that rules out. Probably true is not true. Likely, given the passage, is not true. The passage must force the statement. Here's a true item. The passage says every late application was rejected, and that Ms. Rue's application arrived 2 days late. Combine those two facts and the conclusion is forced. Her application was rejected. You needed both sentences, and together they leave no escape. That is what true looks like. False is just as strict. A statement is false only when the passage directly contradicts it, when the two cannot both be right. And here's the trap. If the passage simply doesn't mention something, That is not false. Silence is never contradiction. Now a false item. The passage says the museum is open every day except Monday. The statement says it's open 7 days a week. Those cannot both be true, except Monday directly contradicts 7 days. The passage doesn't stay silent here. It actively conflicts. That makes the verdict false. One habit ties this chapter together. Always judge the meaning, not the words. A true statement often shares almost no vocabulary with the passage. A false one may echo it closely. If you match on words, the test will beat you. Compare what is claimed, never what is merely spelled the same. This is the most important chapter in the course. Cannot say is the verdict candidates fail most often, and getting it right is what separates a good score from an average one. Slow down here. This one pays. Start with the single biggest error. When the passage doesn't mention something, candidates instinctively mark it false. That is wrong. Not mentioned does not mean false, it means undecided. And undecided has its own verdict. Cannot say. Here's the classic trap. The passage gives 2 facts. The new line made the journey faster, and passenger numbers rose. The statement says the faster journey caused the rise. It sounds obvious, but the passage never links them. It reports both, side by side, and claims no cause. Plausible is not stated. When you're unsure, use this test. Ask yourself one question. Could the passage be completely true, and this statement still be unknown? If yes, the passage leaves it open. Then the verdict is, cannot say. If no, the passage settles it, and it's true or false. One question, every time. One more. The passage says sales rose in the company's offices in Paris, Rome, and Madrid. The statement says sales rose in every office the company operates. Did the passage say those 3 are all of them? No. There could be a dozen more. The passage gives only partial information. Last thing. Cannot say is not a cop-out, and it is not I give up. It is the correct, confident answer whenever the passage stops short of settling the claim. Many candidates avoid it because it feels weak. Don't. When the passage leaves a gap, trust the gap and mark it without flinching. Everything so far rests on a single rule. One principle that, if you break it, makes even easy items go wrong. It's called the closed world rule. Let's make it permanent. Here is the rule. The passage is a closed world. The only admissible evidence is the text in front of you. Your general knowledge, your common sense, what's true out in the real world, what merely feels likely, all of it sits outside the box, and all of it is inadmissible. You answer from the passage alone, and understand this. The test baits you on purpose. It writes statements that are perfectly true in the real world, but that the passage never actually supports. Your knowledge becomes the trap. The defense is one swapped question. Don't ask, is this true? Ask, is this in the passage? Watch how knowledge becomes a trap. The passage says the conference was held in Brussels. The statement says it was held in the capital of Belgium. Now, Brussels is the capital of Belgium. You know that. But the passage doesn't say it. Confirming the statement needs a fact from outside the box. Make this a reflex. Before you commit to any verdict, run one check. Am I using only the passage? If any part of your reasoning came from your own head, discard it and look again. The passage, the whole passage, and nothing but the passage. Wrong answers are not infinitely varied. They're built from a small set of molds, and once you know the molds, you see them coming. Here are the 6 traps that do the most damage. Trap 1, the scope shift. The passage says several departments reported delays. The statement says all departments did. Several has been quietly stretched to all. The passage simply doesn't cover the others, so this is cannot say. Watch every quantifier. Trap 2, the absolute swap. The passage says the grant is usually approved within a month. The statement says always. Usually allows exceptions. Always forbids them. They are different claims, and the passage only backs the softer one. Words like always, never, and none deserve instant suspicion. Trap 3. The unstated cause. The passage gives two events. The policy changed, then complaints fell. The statement says the change reduced the complaints. But order is not cause. The passage reports a sequence. It never claims a link. Two facts side by side do not make a cause. Trap 4. The attribution shift. The passage says critics argued the plan was too expensive. The statement drops the critics and says, flatly, the plan was too expensive. The passage reported someone's opinion. It never endorsed it as fact. Who said it matters as much as what was said? Trap 5. The tense and modality swap. The passage says the agency plans to open a new office next year. The statement says it has opened one. A plan is not an accomplished fact. Will is not has. May is not did. The passage places the office in the future. So has opened is false. There they are. The 6 molds. Scope shift. Absolute swap. Unstated cause. Attribution shift. Tense and modality. And the number swap, a quietly altered figure, date or unit. Learn to name the trap as you see it. Naming it is half of defeating it. Knowing the traps is not enough. Under time pressure, you need a routine that runs the same way every time. Here is a 5-step method. Drill it until it's automatic, because method is what removes panic, and panic is what loses marks. The 5 steps. 1. Read the statement first, so you know what you're hunting for. 2. Find the lines in the passage it touches. 3. Compare it clause by clause. 4. Choose the verdict deliberately. 5. Commit and move on. Let's walk through why each step earns its place. Steps 1 and 2. Reading the statement first changes everything. With a target in mind, you read the passage actively, and the relevant lines jump out at you. Read the passage first, blind, and you'll forget the details, and read it twice. Same text, half the speed. Step 3 is the heart of the method. Compare clause by clause. Take the statement apart. In 2023, the passage confirms it. Approved all the proposals it examined. The passage says every proposal it reviewed was approved. Each clause checks out against the text. Every clause supported. The verdict is true. Steps 4 and 5. Choose your verdict deliberately, and then let the item go. A verdict you reached by method is reliable. Trust it. Reopening settled items burns the clock and feeds doubt. Commit, move on, and give the next question a clear, calm mind. On the day, the exam tests your nerve as much as your reasoning. The good news: a simple plan for the clock keeps both of them steady. Here's how to spend your time. First, the clock. Work out your per-item budget before you walk in. For most verbal sections, it's around a minute each. Treat that number as a hard limit. When an item runs past it, that's not a problem to solve. It's a signal. Decide and move. When an item won't crack, do not sink 5 minutes into it. Every minute spent on one stubborn question is stolen from easy marks still waiting further down the test. Make your best reasoned call. Flag the item if you can, and move on. Protect the easy points first, and the final minutes. Spend them on your flagged items. Never leave an answer blank, since a reasoned guess can only help. If you reread, do it calmly, once. A second careful read beats a panicked third. Then trust your method. You trained for this. Let the routine carry you home. Let's compress the whole course into one frame. 3 verdicts. True must follow. False is contradicted. Cannot say is undecided. 1 golden rule. Answer from the passage and nothing else. And 1 method. Statement first. Clause by clause. Then commit. Carry those 3 things into the exam, but knowing the method is only the start. Verbal reasoning is a skill, and skills are built by repetition. The marks come from practicing, under real timing in a real interface. That's exactly what the EPSO HQ simulator is for. Authentic items, the real exam environment, every day. So here's your next step. Go to EPSOHQ.com and enter the free simulation. Put this method to work on real, timed items. Today, train where it counts. We'll see you inside.